Roderick, welcome back, my friend.
I'm glad to be here, and I'm just, I'm glad to be here. No joke, though. Really, I enjoying this. I really am.
Oh, me too, man. Me too. And Tim, how was your flight down to Denver?
You know how it was. Great. It was great. It's hard to compete. I've got two guys with such butter for voices. I can't even compete. You guys have that creamy voice. It's just so great to listen to. I love it.
It's a beer.
The two of you together. Yeah.
It's a beer thing. But you know what, Tim? One of the things that I get that question, and people always ask, how was your flight? And I just say, it didn't crash. I mean, that's the only thing you can measure the flight. It didn't crash. That was a good flight.
I didn't see any UFO, and I was looking. I had a window seat. I always look out the window. Lots of cloud, beautiful flight, but no UAP, nothing to report. No, I know what you mean. It's just, you never know, right? So got to keep your eyes on the skies.
Doug Shelby, the Doug Shelby in our audience, says Roderick is more my type of researcher, that instead of going towards the subject and probable doom, they get some distance between. And in my case, have guns. I love it.
That's it. I tell, and I say that all the time. I'm like, that's why I'm not going to deduct it. I carry guns. I want them to know. I'm not going down that simple. It's not that. We're just not doing that. Don't abduct me today. Not today.
All right, Tim, before we get into the UFO stuff down in Denver that I'm going to be meeting you up for, because we want to get a rundown of everything that you've seen so far as people start to trickle in. Let's get to a question from Raz here. Is Travis Taylor on the same level as Lou Elizondo with secrets and insider knowledge? Roderick, do you want to take that one right off the bat?
No, I think Lou knows the stuff. And when now I see all the stuff that's coming out, and now you see the documents and complaints that he wrote and the inside, he's in the inside. I think that, because you got some of these people, they have those experiences and whatever, but Lou is on that side that we know is dark. You know what I mean? He's coming out of those dark places. The ones that people come up missing, knowing what they know. That's when you know you're in the inside of things, the Darth Vader side.
What do you think there, Tim?
Excuse me. Well, I mean, obviously he comes from a place of deep knowledge, and we know who he works with, and those people come from a deep amount of knowledge. Now, Travis is a totally different cookie, really. If you think about it, he's an experiencer, and somebody that potentially was abducted and has an incredible story. And, there's a lot of, a lot to be said about that story as far as historical cases. But to compare Lou with him, I think is a tough one, because Lou, I don't think, is so much as an experiencer as somebody that is looking for a passage to disclosure. And I think, we're seeing him collaborating with some of the people in the know to further this narrative. And obviously, I was actually talking with somebody here earlier about this exact topic. And the fact of the matter is we've seen information parsed out, over time from Lou Elizondo and other people within his group. And not so much just giving you information, letting you find it out on your own, giving you clues, if you will, cookie crumbs. And along with that, he followed within his NDAs so that he wasn't breaking any rules. He promised us information, and he explained that it would come over time and for us to wait for it. And I think that's exactly what we've seen with the things that came out, in the Pentagon. That was stuff that he had said we would see. And now, obviously, this paperwork that proves this case has actually been brought forward. And I think that, just like he said all along the way, it would prove itself out.
Well, I'm gonna agree and disagree with both of you regarding this. I think Elizondo and Taylor are in such an upper echelon of this topic that they are probably one of the same within secrets and insider knowledge. Tim, I will disagree with you.
I see what you're saying. I'm sorry, I was confused. I thought you were talking about Travis Walton,
Oh,
not
sorry.
Travis Taylor. I'm sorry. So
No worries.
comparing Travis Taylor. Okay, excuse me.
Well, the other thing too is I do believe Lou Elizondo is a major experiencer. I think that due to his NDAs, and this is no insider knowledge or anything like that. I think due to his NDAs and due to his patriotism, that it would be a death knell to his future career, whatever that may be, if he came out as an experiencer, at least at this time. But I could tell you this, in reading between the lines of what I have learned from him in my conversations and interviews with him, as well as listening to what he has said with his Easter eggs that he drops with other people on interviews, I would say 100% he's an experiencer. 100%. And I didn't know. I'm sorry, Roderick?
I think Lou mentioned that remember they said one of the conversations that he was having with forget the guy when he first was introduced to the program, he was sharing he had an experience. He was an experiencer.
Lou, you know what? I really do believe that Lou, in his position, being, and he'll never agree with me when I say this, but I believe that he was a man in black that came out. I really do believe that. And I truly believe that if we knew what he knew or has seen what he has seen, I think we would be blown away.
Right. And I'm just going to circle back very quickly because I'm a huge supporter of Travis Taylor. I got to meet with him and talk with him briefly, and I understand the work that he's doing on a deep level. And I do see potentially that they have the same knowledge because they are coming from a very similar background. So this is a good question. However, I see Travis doing more boots on the ground research and really looking deeply into some possibilities that perhaps aren't discovered yet. And so he's broaching into a science that I think is a little bit new. And so I think Lou Elizondo is probably keeping a very close eye on that. And the research is being shared. But I do think that they're probably very similarly in the know, simply because I'm in the process of reading Travis's book right now on how to prepare for an alien invasion, which is, he wrote the book on it, right? And that book was on the desk of the man that hired him to be on the UAP task force. So we know This is an important book. And so as I read this book, I start to see some notes starting to kind of fall into line with some of the narrative we've heard Lou Elizondo talk about. So Lou has definitely read this book. And so for anyone interested, I recommend the book, because you're going to start seeing that maybe they do have the same way of thinking, and it's based on the same research that they're both kind of in the know of, if that makes any sense.
Right. I think it does. I will end it, and before we move on, with just quickly saying this. I think one of my insiders has told me, and I'm not going to say who my source is, but told me that the majority of every person involved in UAP research, and there's hundreds of them that we do not know, but all of them are experiencers. And that's the reason why they're keeping things quiet, is because they are all experiencers, and that's what they want for people to chase what they are searching for. Let's move on to Terry Hall here. What if the 90% of our DNA, the junk, is what the Anunnaki turned off to keep us from being disruptive in the universe instead of them turning monkeys into us? What if the Earth is a prison? What do you think, Roderick?
Well, being the gorilla that I am, I think that I don't know about Earth being a prison. Because I in some of the Anunnaki story, remember they did try to flood us out of here. You know what I mean? And just so happens we survived through the Noah story. And I still wish out of all these animals, brought two of two, he left one in the mosquitoes behind. But okay, you know what I mean? Why do you leave mosquitoes behind if we don't have them? But back to that statement. I don't think Earth is a prison, because if you go back to the story, was it the Tower of Babel, how we were trying to, as humans, get to the gods, and they ended up splitting us into four corners of the earth so that our tongues and languages and we couldn't speak. So I think we were their creation, just like AI is ours today, and then it got out of control. and start thinking for itself, and then start destroying each other like AI presumably will head to. That's my opinion.
That's a good solid one. What about you, Tim?
I Terry and I were talking about this tonight, so I'm kind of I've cheated here because we were talking about this exact topic. I love the way Terry thinks. He's always out of the box with his concepts. I live here, so I don't want to think of my planet as a prison, right? So I just want to take that right out of what I personally believe. But I like the idea that we're perhaps put here, or perhaps trapped here, and being kept here by our technology potentially. I don't know. These are interesting ideas, but I do think at some point we're going to find the answers. We're getting there. We're creeping towards it.
All right, let's go to Jonathan in the UK. Good morning, little Johnny Davies. He is asking, Roderick, give us your best assessment of what we are encountering.
In what area? Is he talking about UFO sightings, or be a little more specific?
Well, he's pretty in-depth and in tune, so I'll say that it's probably around, contact, disclosure, and the movement of where we are now.
I think we are in a place that even the government themselves can't keep the lid on the bottle. Okay, they know it, so they're trying to get ahead of it. You know what I mean? As fast as they can. And that's just where we are. So they're getting pushed from left and right. The unexplainable is now needed to be explained. Okay. The unthinkable is now thought about. Right. And so therefore they're caught in the middle. And so as long as this stuff that we just can't see behind closed doors, those black projects, we will never know about. But like I said earlier, the more that we present to them that we know, and enough evidence that they can't hide it, is when they come clean. And so they're okay there. But at the end of the day, there will be somebody that's going to open up a door, and we're going to see behind the curtain like the Wizard of Oz, and it's going to change a lot.
Tim, what's your response?
Well, I think if there is an other, it comes in many shapes and sizes. And I don't think that we can really even start to try to classify it until we confirm that it's real, right? But from what I can see and what I've recorded and what my research personally that I can find that in my personal data, I mean, there's like orbs. That's something. They seem to want to interact. They act really odd. And then there's obviously craft with potentially beings, right? I've never seen beings, but I have filmed the craft. So I mean, there's a lot of potential. I definitely feel like there are others here, and it's going to become pretty obvious because they're revealing themselves to us in a way that we can capture it and record it and get data. So we're going to prove it, and I think that's what's going to happen. It's either going to blatantly show itself, or we're going to be able to prove it with, evidence.
Let's get to Sanders' question here. What's your thoughts about the Hadron Collider?
Tim? I don't have an answer for it.
How about you, Tim?
I mean, it's asking for trouble, but I think it's great. We should do everything we can. If we have the potential to investigate anything, we should. Is it super duper risky? Yeah. I mean, it's super risky and it's super interesting, but with everything that's worth it is you got to take risk for it. So yeah,
I would just like to chime in here and say that I believe that we have to stop this thing, man, because there's too many Mandela effects happening now because of it.
Right.
And I'm blaming it on the Mandela effect on it. I may not be in the popular position there, but that's my theory, and that's what I'm sticking to.
Well, reason I didn't want to touch on it, if y'all remember back in Texas, we started a project called a Super Collider years ago. We had to shut that thing down. And now it's sitting over there in this wasteland over here. But we were building the Super Collider, same kind of concept, and get rid of it. There were some issues, and the issues had issues. Right. So I don't know about everything else, but we ain't doing it over here no more.
It's just splitting atoms, no big deal. It's bizarre to think about what they're actually doing. I mean, I think it's incredible. Would I like to create a black hole in a bottle? Sure, if we could do it. But if you drop the vial and the universe disappears, then no, we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't create something that's highly risky. But I don't think that's what we're looking at with the Hadron Collider. I think that it's incredible science. It's again, man, just making a huge leap, potentially.
Yeah, but we're talking about scientists, though, Tim. They run that junction of, here's the notepad. Let's see what happens when we do this. That's the problem. Right. It's when they do the let's see what happens, and then all of a sudden everything goes black.
It's Stranger Things. It's literally Stranger Things.
That's the problem.
And that's why that show is so great, because Stranger Things kind of does wrap this all up into what it would look like.
There you go.
I mean, it could go dark, but it could also go the other way, and we can make an incredible leap. I mean, if we had the potential to make space jumps and to be able to leap from one planetary system to another, we would want that capability. And so, this is down those lines of investigation of like being able to create, magic, basically. And so I don't think that we should ever stop, and we shouldn't worry about the risks always. I mean, if we're going to hurt people, you have to consider that stuff. I'm just saying, for the science sake, we should always push science, I think, to its boundaries.
I'm with you on it. I'm just more of we just don't know. And scientists, I think, tend to look for the answer and not the reality of, oh my God, that's what could happen. We don't know. They don't want to take the guess what would happen. They need to see what happens. And sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
Atomic weapons. Yeah. Everything gets weaponized.
Yeah. There's a lot of tenure, a lot of government and private grants that are also dictating what happens with these scientists and where their support goes. The majority of scientists, I believe, would love to jump into the UFO field, probably 2 feet and both hands into the deep end without even wondering how deep the pool is. However, their careers, their grants, their projects, their NDAs, their school tenures are probably a little bit more important to them than the UFO subject. And the last thing they want to do is lose out on any type of money or funding or grants and potentially their jobs in order to pursue UFOs.
Right. I find it frustrating, though, when you see somebody like Seth Shostak, for example, who was in the headlines again today, in fact, talking about how there aren't UFOs. I find that very frustrating, because I understand he's been listening for a long time and he hasn't gotten anything, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And so
that's why Mr. Narrow-Minded Shostak should not have been put on the Galileo project.
Well, you got to have your skeptics there too, I think.
Yeah, but is it skepticism or? And I apologize for cutting you off. Is it skepticism or is it his career?
Both.
A little of A, a little of B. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, please go ahead. I didn't mean to step
Go
on
ahead,
you there.
Roger.
No, I think it's a little both. And you run that. They all run the risk. It's the same thing that Lou Elizondo, revealed in this last document, that we had people that didn't want to explore the phenomena because of religious reasons. They shouldn't be in those positions. When you're talking about, if you're looking into something for national security or whatever, that should come first. Same thing with these guys. The humanity factor should be over everything. But instead, they take that lower road and make decisions based on other things. And that's the problem that we have.
It's a great point you make there, that people are led by their bias.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot get into this topic with any bias. And so if you have preconceived notions, leave them at the door. But here's the thing, you don't have to lose any part of you to accept this new information.
Right.
You can still have your spiritualism and
gentlemen, I'm going to hold on right there. We're going to take a break here, our final break of the night on Spaced Out Radio. We're having a hell of a show tonight. Roderick Martin still with us. Tim Seanor from the UFO Report has joined us from Denver. We're going to talk about the MUFON Symposium coming up on Spaced Out Radio. Good times, good times.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Tim.
Hell with the news.
Great to see you.
Hell with the news. I don't want to do the news tonight.
No news is good news.
That's it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Tim, my grandfather had that shirt. Just saying.
Did he? They still, yeah, it's vintage. Yeah. If it's not broke, why fix it?
That conversation. I couldn't fit the shirt, so it doesn't matter.
All right. Stunning Sonia's news. Looking gorgeous tonight, Sonia. Says, skip the news.
Well, Sonia skipped I sent her a message on Facebook. I mean, YouTube the other day. I watched her videos.
She's talented. She's very talented.
I thought it was interesting. I was like, okay, let me reach out. And I said, well, she didn't respond, so no problem. I get it. I get it. She didn't respond to me. That's fine.
Well,
I can
now that
tell
you
you.
grew the beard,
Hmm?
I said, now that you grew the beard, why not?
Yeah, I came up with that Dave look, and maybe. There we go.
Obi Flett, thank you for that awesome super chat, man. I didn't see you. I hope you haven't been here for a while, dude. I haven't seen you in the chat yet. So thank you, buddy, for showing up. Obi Flett, dude, he is massive. He's got the big guns and everything.
You talking about this? Like these guns?
Oh yeah. Yep.
I'm working on it. I'm actually going to go on a weight loss journey in front of everybody, and the journey is to the kitchen and get more pizza. But what I'm no, seriously though, I'm going to do something about it because my knees are starting to hurt, and somebody called me and said I need you to investigate a UFO, and it's up in the hillside, and I got the trek up there. I'm just going to say, well, I believe you.
Send the drone.
Send the drone. I believe you.
Sadia says, OMG, I'm so sorry. I haven't been getting my alerts. I promise I wasn't ignoring you. Yeah.
My dad said that 20 years ago. I sent him a message, hey, this is your son. Hit me back. And no, I'm just kidding, saying I'm sorry. My dad didn't. I'm not a kid case on that. I don't even know what my dad did. I haven't talked to him in years. He's passed on. Good dad. But thank you, Sonia, in a way. But yeah, you guys are a lot of fun. I mean, and in a true story, 2 years ago, a year and a half, I was in the house. I couldn't talk about UFOs. I got on Clubhouse. I said, well, maybe I can start a club, Dave. And I was like, Tim, maybe I can get 20 people to talk to. Okay. And now it's 25,000. You're doing all this stuff. When there was a time that you tell somebody in the first question, UFOs are real. And now I just get to those questions. And now I get the big one, Dave, is what do they look like? And I shock them and I say, what if we look like them? Just what if? I don't want to prove it to you, but just what if we look like them? Boy, that works them. That works them.
Yeah. I'll bet.
What is your clubhouse? I've never heard of this.
It's called Wide Big Secret. Clubhouse is a social audio app. Now we plug them. They need some marketing more. And they got big when the pandemic was in, COVID. Everybody was like starting these rooms and these clubs and you can have conversations. So originally it was called Extraterrestrial Evidence. And I changed it to the Wide Big Secret when I did the trademark last year. But I became one of their, what they call a creators first winners of a program there, where they was trying to make their own creators, and like 5,000 people submitted. And so they picked me by 60 of us to do a show, and I was doing a UFO show. And I just said, hey, let's just do it. And it was it was the greatest thing because I couldn't find anybody to interview. They gave me $1,000 and said, put a show on. Y'all got 2 hours. I called Lou Elizondo. Of course, I email, say, anybody take my money. And then all of a sudden, I called one person. I said, would you be on the show? And next thing you know, I ended up with Linda Moulton Howe, Barbara Lamb, Kathleen Martin, Billy Carson, Whitley Strieber, and then was Alan Steinfeld. And then was I had them all. And you talking about trying to do a 2-hour show? It went over to about 5 hours. So I just threw in the towel. I said, I'm not going to win. Forget it, man. But I was like, you know what? This is the moment of my life, And next thing you know, 2 weeks later, see you one of the winners. And I went on to sign a contract to do a weekly show. And that's weekly with 2 E's, not W-E. Just so
That's so cool.
And so it's over with now.
So hold on right there. We're back on in 20 seconds. Doug Stevens, that is... or Donald Steven, that's Dirty Fylth. He does all of our art for the show. He's been doing it for a couple of years. He brings in just a little bit more entertainment to the show, and that's why we got him here, and we love him. All right, Peter, how you doing? All right, let's do this right now. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. For the final time tonight, we introduce our guest. Yeah, we're just rolling with it tonight, having some fun as Roderick Martin is here. Tim Seanor from the UFO Report is here doing cartoons. We got Dirty Fylth hanging on out. And we are talking UFOs all night long, but we're going to spend a little bit of time here because MUFON this weekend has their big symposium in Denver, Colorado. Tim is already down there. Roderick was supposed to be there, but he decided that, singing at the clubs, and doing whatever else, chasing UFOs was more important than hanging out with us.
No, they had a one beard policy. You already took the place, and they wouldn't let me in the door. And I tried to say I'm not a Dave Scott, but since I look like you, and it was a big ordeal. And one beard, you got there, man. You got it.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you and I could go in there as twins, man, and they wouldn't tell us apart at all. The white beards, the beautiful sultry voices.
Starchy and Hutch. We just walk in there and we just go in there and put a whole new thing down. You to you, I'm the F to O. However we roll in there, spaced out on the radio. Why the big secret? However it works. I think we can. But you and Tim gonna hold it up. Tim got you. So
we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to figure it out.
Yep.
Well, Tim, let me ask you this, because I'm not going to be down there for another couple of days yet. All right. What's the atmosphere? What's the vibe around the Sheraton Hotel there where the event's going to take place?
It's actually a beautiful spot. A lot of drunkenness. No, well,
Yeah.
a little. There's a little bit. It's a big bar and a few bars. In fact, it's my birthday today. All right.
Yes, happy
And
birthday, Tim.
For real?
thank you. And I was down at the bar, and I think I showed my ID or something. Anyways, my birthday came up, and so they made me this drink called an Almond Joy, and it was like this massive thing, and it was just delicious. I'm not a drinker, so it was kind of foo-foo, but it was fantastic. This bar is amazing down here. The food is also really great. But I had a chance to sit and chat with David Marler, who is a UFO investigator and actually currently the holder of the largest UFO library of documents, including the original documents from J. Allen Hynek. And so he's got all of the original Blue Book files and all of that stuff at his new UFO library down in New Mexico, I believe, Albuquerque. Yeah. And so I spent a lot of time talking to him and about his work on black triangles. And we compared some notes because there have been some recent sightings that I've taken, some witness events that have gone on recently, and he's very interested in that. And we got to chatting about Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon, and a lot of people have the same kind of interest in this kind of boots on the ground research. And so we're kind of in this collaboration stage right now that's a lot of fun. Whenever I come across someone, they're very open to talking about their work and talking about this topic. And so tomorrow in particular is training, MUFON training for investigators. So I'll be spending the day doing investigator training with a follow-up on Friday with some presentations on Friday as well. But any bit of advice or any kind of investigator information you can gather and bring to your repertoire. I don't necessarily know that I'll ever be a MUFON investigator, but I am an investigator, and I do consider myself a student, always learning. And so this is a great opportunity for all of us to just go and see what MUFON does when they take reports and what their research is all about. That's my investigation.
Well, I will be down there as of Friday. I speak Saturday just after lunch. I got the good time. Everybody's stomachs are going to be full. They're going to be waddling back into the auditorium there, where old Davey's going to be up there taking up half the stage. With the they're going to be like
fans.
Yeah,
with all these fans.
Right. But I'm going to be actually speaking on the media and why the media hasn't done this story justice. And I've put together a really cool slideshow of what we're going to be talking about. And, unfortunately, I can't give it away just yet because you have to sign paperwork that says, hey, you're not going to give this away before you come up and state it. But, I'm very much looking forward.
Hey, we own the night. You can talk about it at night. You own the night. And by the way, my wrong Twitter. It's at Roderick Martin. I put it in the chat.
Sweet.
That Twitter I just started. I don't have any followers, but the one I post on is at Roderick Martin. And I did follow Jonathan from that, so he'll know.
Excellent. What I love is how you procrastinated to get this speech written.
I always do. I wait for the moment for
Sound like an insider. Sound like an insider.
Well, he wants to keep the information fresh. He wants to wait to give you the last minute details in his speech. So
plenty of practice. See, yeah.
Right, yeah. You guys are a bunch of jerks here. Hold on.
We've seen those tactics before. You know what I'm saying? And we see them every day. Why not? They work, so go ahead with it. They work.
You know what? You guys
Give
are
us a little
jerks.
bit. That's a little bit, but not everything.
All right, I'll give you a little bit here. The fun part that I have is I actually don't write a speech. I actually play off of the
Images.
the images that I have. So that is topic du jour of the media doesn't understand our story.
Ooh, I like that.
No.
I mean that's kind of how it works. Then I go into who am I, and then I go through my experiences about some of the point forms that I have, and then I start in the questions. I always like involving the audience. Show of hands, is the media controlled on what they can and cannot say? That starts a good discussion and debate. And then I start into why weren't UFOs ever in the news? And it goes on from a journalist point of view. They don't believe in the topic. It's a waste of airtime on television and radio, waste of print space in newspapers and websites, not real news. The public doesn't care about UFOs. Too sci-fi, not real evidence or no real evidence UFOs exist to those in the media. We don't do conspiracy theories. And the stigma of those who see UFOs is disappointing. So we go through a few of these points here, and I'm not sure why that's all of a sudden doubled up, but it shouldn't be. But
hey,
it
Dave,
is. Yeah.
I have a quick question. Do you remember, or do you know, back in the 30s, they would have these things, I think they were called regular stories, and they were within the newspaper, and they would be these little stories that writers would put in to kind of help pump up the sales of newspapers, but they were fiction. And if my memory serves me, they would have like Men from Mars and things like that. And so we see that the news used to carry this topic, but in a fictionalized way, right? And so that's an important thing. If you see how the media is still kind of leaving it as a blurb, and most of the readers that aren't privy to this being topic A and it being an interesting topic, they would still breeze through that and potentially read something as fiction, just kind of as they did in the 20s. Do you feel like the media does that on purpose?
Yes, they do. It's all ego. That's the whole point of my speech. It's all ego. So, for instance, if they were doing stories, it sounded like this. So anybody who has a flute or a clarinet or a trumpet in the stands, they could play the music right there. All right.
Right.
But, here's where it gets important. What do most media types think of UFO people? They pray to Alex Jones. They believe tinfoil works. They've seen aliens, believe in fake news, minimum wagers, no dental plan, hate the government, zero education. And that's the truth of it. That is the truth of it. And then we go, yeah, exactly. And then we go into why did I just do that? Oh, well, I accidentally copied that. Let's just delete that.
I want to see the pants down thing. What is that? The next two down.
Oh, okay. So then I go into 2017 came with the TTSA and Tom DeLonge, and then we go, oh my God, the tinfoilers were right, and then we go into the media's hard reality. They were caught with their pants down.
You're going to get abducted for that one.
Probably. And then everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. All right. But here's the big thing. Do you remember Marshall McLuhan, The Medium is the Message? It's from the 60s. Well, control the media, control the message. And that's exactly
doing that anyway, though. They've been doing that for years. Remember Roswell? The army themselves. Oh, we've got our flying saucer, and next day, everybody is in on it. Media, everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So then we're going to get into that no journalism necessary when the job is done for you, which the TTSA did a great job, because all we ever saw was Elizondo, Chris Mellon, David Fravor, the Velcro-haired Nick Pope, and Harry Reid, rest his soul. Okay? That's all we saw at the media. That's it. Every interview was the same. I think we can all agree on that. Why? Well, that's what we get into. When the media doesn't understand a story, they softball it, asking softball questions. Is it Russia or China? Where are the little green men? Is it swamp gas? Are they ours? Is it a threat to America? Where do they come from? Why didn't we fire on them? What do they look like? Are they from outer space? How did they get here? No deep questions, but remember the old Wayne Gretzky saying, ask stupid, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And this sets up the whole point of questions that haven't been asked, right? Is it just a military issue? What happened in Phoenix? What happened in Roswell? What about experiencers? If there are crash retrievals, where are they being, don't mind my spelling mistake there. Where are they being kept? What is hiding at Area 51 or other bases? Why will you not show us longer UFO videos? Who's flying the craft? If they're not from here, then why not call them aliens? What evidence do you have the phenomena is real? They're just simple questions. There's way more questions than that. Okay.
Right.
But then we get to the topic we had tonight. Why now?
Yeah.
Why now?
Yeah.
And then we get to with the media, when you're playing stupid, you can't see anything if you're not looking for it.
Nope.
Right? And what do you expect? How do you cover a story you don't understand? 2 + 2 = 5, right? And then we take a shot at Paul Hynek because he took a shot at me in San Francisco. This is a funny game that we're playing now. Friendly reminder that Paul Hynek is not funny, but he loves Dave Scott. Then I go into my own experience where my friends and I saw an orb off of my patio, and I reported it to my radio station that I used to work at. And my buddy John answers the phone, and he's like, "Dave, how much have you had to drink? What are you smoking?" Totally played it off, right? Yeah. Didn't want anything to do with it. John had 2 conclusions right there. How many beers? How much bud? Right? This is where I knew the circle of trust between the media and this story was over. Don't call the media. Right?
Right.
And isn't it amazing that the media does not know these people?
Right. Jack Valet in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then we move on. More importantly for this crowd, I don't know what that noise was, but more importantly for this crowd, MUFON. Why was MUFON never called by the media? You would think that after 55 years of being in the game, that the media may want their opinion on what is going on. Nope. When you feed the media, they become lazy. Then I get into the importance of the media. What is the media's role? And then the podcast, citizen journalism taking over the story. And then Each Grain of Sand is a podcast with a differing opinion. And then we use Elizondo as an example here. You love him? He's a hero. God praise Lou. Patriot in Lou we trust. Great chin hair. A-tip king. Whistleblower. Face of disclosure. If you hate him, he's a liar. Government shill. Never A-tip. Spy. Zero UFO knowledge. Disinformation. Terrible chin hair. Storyteller. And hates ufology. But damn it, leave the chin hair alone. Leave it alone. The chin hair is innocent.
It just seems like the media has always treated UFO like a gateway drug to other phenomena. Like, oh, if you believe in UFO, then you believe in Bigfoot and all this other stuff. And
all this. Oh, yeah.
It's very frustrating.
So then we get into podcast problems. Okay, because there are very few journalists, very few know how to ask proper questions, no follow-up dialogue. Most pray that for that aha, gotcha moment. All about clicks, followers, and donations, baby. A chance to be famous and go viral. Already picked their side, have an agenda with their voice. Opinion is not journalism. Kiss butt to their guests. Lie on their resumes for increased popularity. Clickbait for greater audience. Some solely look at destroying reputations. Let's make money and let's look to get famous. Most of all, many have never seen a UFO or had an experience in their life. Because of their experience, there are no differing opinions or thoughts. Or 3, they're so skeptical that they just ridicule the subject matter as tinfoil hat syndrome. Right? Then we get into, what's this one here? Where do we find the quality UFO news then? In your brain. In your brain. You're smart enough. The information game is being played. Choose wisely who you listen to. Right? Remember, the solution to the puzzling question is, are we alone in this universe? It only affects 7.75 billion of us. Right? And then next to this guy coming back from the heavens, this is the second biggest story in humankind's history. We need to remember that. And then we need journalists to know this and understand that this is more important than this.
Really?
I think so. Or Paul Hynek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. And there's my shameless plug. And I always had my speeches with "Where together, my friends, we own the night." And that is your big time mix in there. Now, I will put different words in there. I will go into more detail as we speak, but unfortunately, you have to be in Denver at the Sheridan Hotel there in order to see it live.
That's right.
I mean, listen, we just got a dose of it, and I'm telling you, there you go. I'm sitting here going, see, that's why we here on Spaced Out Radio, we got it first right now, and we already know. So, headline.
That's right. That's right. I feel really bad, Roderick. But did you already? Have you shared your UFO experience? Have you had one? I'm assuming you probably have. Yes.
Yeah. So what happened was I got here like about 2 hours ago.
Okay.
With Dave being such a great host that he is, he got that out of the way like early first.
I'm so sorry. I missed it.
I don't know if it was tactical.
I'll rewatch.
No. But here's the deal: because you are here now, and you could have been any other place, and as Arbel would say, you know, good evening, good afternoon, and wherever you may be watching this show right now, we're going to serve you. So my story, real quickly, was I saw a UFO when I was 12. It was flying around and followed by 2 jets, and that started it all. But if you do go back and watch the show, I do go into detail about my mother.
I will. Yeah.
Yeah. Some important stuff, you know, because I set up the you know, you have to set it all up, the animals and the zoo where I lived. But anyway, yeah, it's
cool. I'll definitely watch it. Right on.
And the one street light that still has the autograph. That still has the autograph of Roderick Martin on there.
There you go. So it was impactful. Didn't understand the significance of the moment, Tim. But today, I'm a UFO investigator. I do believe UFOs are real. And I believe that Tim is a great guy.